and riots in Western Australia. The Victorian system's also on the brink, with frequent outbreaks of violence causing millions of dollars worth of damage. That state's government is desperate to meet community demands to regain control of young offenders, but its plan to move a group of Indigenous children out of adult jail but keep other children there is causing serious consternation. Louise Milligan reports.
Enough is enough. These perpetrators of this damage will face serious consequences.
This is deplorable behaviour by these young people.
There are no walls, there are no roof tiles, there's no facilities to deal with the CCTV footage because they pulled all that out. They've smashed so much, but they've also smashed their bedrooms.
The behaviour that has been exhibited is disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful, and it will not be tolerated by the Andrews government.
In this year alone, there have been known riots and serious incidents in youth justice facilities on 7 March, 23 March, 26 March, 6 May, 27 July, 17 August, 8 September, 9 September, 10 September, 11 September, 13 September, 17 September, 19 September, 28 September, 3 October, 12 October, 17 October, 22 October, 23 October, 9 November, Order. 12 November, 13 and 14 November. Premier, Order. Given all of this, are you honestly confident that Jenny Mikakos is, as you say, an outstanding minister?
Order.
Victoria's youth justice system is in disarray.
We've had a lot of stories about significant assaults. We've had the stories of people being held down and spat at in their mouths and not knowing whether the person that was spitting at them actually had any contractable or contagious diseases. We've had women staff members held down and threatened with rape, and then the department leaving them working with that client.
The Andrews state government has taken the drastic step of moving young people from Parkville Juvenile Detention Centre to one of the country's toughest adult prisons. Barwon Jail is where underworld killer Carl Williams was murdered. Lawyer Ruth Barson visited the teenagers at Barwon's Grevillea unit on the weekend, and while the kids are in a separate wing from adults, she was appalled by what she saw.
We're talking about children being held in solitary confinement, being left to pace 4 steps up and back in their cells. Children hadn't been outside or seen the sky for close to a week, and they'd been threatened with dogs. Victoria is certainly walking down the very dark path of Don Dale.
Do you have 4?
But the union representing the prison guards wonders where the detainees are supposed to go when large parts of Parkville look like a war zone.
The community who say this is cruel or this is inappropriate don't understand the damage that has been done. It would be crueler, it would be nastier of the state to have them sleep in rubble, and I think the state's made a very sensible decision.
Matt first went to Parkville when he was still only 15.
I got caught up with the wrong crowd of friends and got led to do all that stuff with them. Got easily influenced. I started stealing cars with them.
How many times were you in and out of Parkville?
Around 8.
And is that pretty typical?
Yeah.
Most kids have been there many times.
Yeah, in and out. I think they're getting worse. I think they're just getting on ice and stuff now, more drugs. And they just want to make money, so they're doing robberies and all that. Back then it was just car offences, usually some robberies in there. Now it's just mostly armed robberies.
But the government's decision to put the rioters in Barwon prison hit a hurdle. Last week, the Aboriginal Legal Service launched an urgent Supreme Court case seeking an order that their clients shouldn't be housed in an adult jail. But this afternoon, the government buckled. It promised not to keep existing Aboriginal detainees it had shifted from Parkville in Barwon Jail.
To put young people into a prison which was designed for the most hardened criminals in the state of Victoria is disgusting, and I think the resulting outcome in the Supreme Court action today vindicated, in fact, what we'd been saying from the get-go.
The Human Rights Law Centre, which was also involved in the case, says it's dividing children along racial lines.
Right now we know that there are at least 15 other children that continue to be held in appalling conditions in Barwon Adult Jail.
Like 80% of the kids in the centre, Matt was usually only ever there on remand.
Well, they're bored and they don't know when they're going to get out. They don't know what's coming. They don't know what's going to happen when they get to their court date.
I think a lot of the lashing out is that people are bored, they're frustrated, they don't know when they're coming to court, and as a result you have that frustration being played out in the system, whether it's client on client, whether it's group on group, or whether it's client on staff.
Tougher bail laws after Melbourne woman Jill Maher was murdered while her killer, Adrian Bailey, was on bail, saw a massive influx of people into the adult and juvenile systems. At the same time, Parkville has had staffing shortages and has had to depend on temporary staff to deal with the riots. Matt has accessed help to get his life back on track from Jesuit Social Services, and he's starting a plumbing apprenticeship. But the service is picking up the pieces of many kids bouncing in and out of an understaffed system.
If you're just an agency staffer in a juvenile detention centre, what hope do you have of building a relationship?
It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult.
Today, the government said it still plans to house juvenile offenders at Barwon Adult Prison, but it will make the decision on a case-by-case basis, including liaising with the Commissioner for Aboriginal Children and Young People. But advocates, such as Sarah Coville from Jesuit Social Services, say that adult prison is not the answer.
The data and evidence shows that taking a punitive approach to the way we deal with young people who offend doesn't work, and certainly putting children in an adult jail doesn't work. And I think there's evidence across the globe to say that that's not an appropriate intervention for children.